everybody, it's Wave Storm Tracking Team, Meteorologist Ryan Hoke here. We're going to do a quick update since we're kind of butting up against the 11 p.m. newscast here on Wave. I'll be with you here for about 25-30 minutes. We're going to go over the latest data this evening for the heavy rain and flooding potential for Saturday, and of course answer some of your questions, concerns, comments, complaints, whatever it may be, because I know all of us meteorologists are certainly complaining about the weather. It has been so active lately, and that pattern looks to continue here for quite some time. Michael Wells asking, any storms or is it all rain? It's mostly rain. There will be a few storms in southern Kentucky. Let's see. Southeast Township is in a floodplain. That's in southeast parts of Orange County, Indiana. Yes, you folks will have to watch the rainfall up there, but especially on the Kentucky side of the river, that's going to be the place where we watch the heaviest rainfall totals here. Joseph saying, alert days always give me bad anxiety. I hope we get through this one safe and sound. Look, alert days are not meant to give you anxiety. I understand that they do, because sometimes they give me anxiety too. But here's the deal. It's here to protect your family, to give you the heads up, to say, hey, look over here. We need your attention. There's some weather that you need to pay attention to. So pay attention to the forecast, right? That's what alert days are for. They're not supposed to scare anybody, but we do want to make sure that you are at least paying attention, ready to protect your family if dangerous weather happens to come our way. One final question here before we get going here from X. Any tornadoes in Louisville? I think the tornado threat is going to be south of not only Louisville, but probably our entire area. The things are looking right now. Josh is asking, hey, where's Kevin? Kevin is off this evening, so you're stuck with me here on this Valentine's Day. Hope it was a good one spent with your sweetheart. So this is the basics of what we have for this alert day here. We'll get to more of your questions here in just a minute, but I need to give you the information you needed to know. At 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. Saturday night. Now, this timing, the reason we have this timing is because that's the heaviest rain, and any sort of strong storm potential in southern Kentucky would also exist in this window right here. But there will be rain 99% of the day on Saturday. This is a washout. We typically don't say, oh, it's going to be a washout. This is a washout of a Saturday. Sunday's drier with some snow showers, but Saturday's wet no matter how you slice it here. It's just going to be that way, unfortunately. We're dry for now. We're at 37. This temperature, by the way, flat or rising slightly overnight tonight as that warmer, moister air moves in. You'll see temperatures are all above freezing now, including Munfordville at 36, E-Town at 35. We've had quite a few of these snowflakes and snow returns on the radar to our north, but nothing's really been touching the ground because our air is so dry. So literally the snowflake is falling through the atmosphere and evaporating, or to be more specific, more accurate, sublimating, going from solid to a gas, because all the air underneath of it's so dry that the air is like, hey, I could use some of that moisture in that snowflake. And that's it. So not really snowing up there right now, despite it looking like that on the radar view. And you'll see that it is actually snowing up to our north across Fort Wayne, areas a little closer to the Great Lakes at this time. Our system for tomorrow is currently right out here. You see that area of low pressure near Goodland, Kansas, and an area, or I should say, and a boundary right here to the east of it there. This will eventually push north as a warm front and give us that slightly warmer air early tomorrow morning. So this is what we're looking at in terms of timing for this rain tomorrow. After 7 p.m., that's when the heaviest of the rain will be here. That's when we have the potential for some of these, of course, stronger storms down into the southern parts of our viewing area here. We're talking about like Greene, Taylor, and Adair counties. We'll show you a map on that here in just a second's time here, but you get the idea. It's raining most of the day, 100% chance of rain for a good chunk of it. And if it's not 100% chance of rain, then it's real close to it, like 80-90%. Futurecast shows it well. After 3 a.m., rain starts to move in. So this is only a few hours away from really beginning. It won't be like this complete fire hose all day long. That happens in the evening. So we'll get some little like eddies and ebbs and flows of heavier rainfall versus slightly lighter, but it will be raining almost all the time. Unless you're up near US 50, from up near Bedford to Seymour to North Vernon. That's where we could see some dry time around midday, and then the rain lifts back north again. Now, this is the period right here around 7 p.m. And we start to get concerned for this section of the world down here, Campbellsville, Columbia, Munfordville, Litchfield, because you start to get into what's called the warm sector of this system. This warmer air starts to move in. That's why this rain pushes north, by the way. And it gives us the opportunity for perhaps a little bit of instability in the atmosphere, some of which may be surface-based. I think most of that's going to be to our south. We can't rule it out completely. That's why there's a lot of asterisks on this. We just want to make sure you know it's a possibility, but also communicate to you that this possibility for severe weather in southern Kentucky is very, very low. This would also be a time to watch for that very low severe weather chance around, say, 10, 11 o'clock. You can see some heavier thunderstorms near Munfordville. Again, Louisville will likely be immune from any sort of severe weather threat. We're too far north for that, but we are in the heavy rain zone, and you can see how heavy this rain is going to be by 10 o'clock tomorrow. We get the heavy rain out of here by about 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, early Sunday, and usher in some colder air. You see that snow off to our north and west. Yes, there will be some snow showers on Sunday. So let's get through the nitty gritty of what we're going to see. This is the latest for you weather nerds out there, 0Z HRRR model. I call it the pirate model because it's HRRR, high resolution rapid refresh for those keeping track of acronyms here. But you see that, my goodness, it has more than 6 inches of rain. Bardstown, Lebanon, E-Town, Munfordville, Litchfield. I would love to say this is an outlier on totals, but sadly, this is actually falling into line with some of the earlier runs of the NAM that we saw. Now, the latest model run of the NAM, the 0Z, again, this is for weather nerds out there, has come down a little bit in totals and shifted this a bit farther south. And this model you're seeing right here has also shifted things just a slight bit south of where they were earlier. Notice that like downtown Louisville has about a 3-inch rainfall total. Earlier, it was a little closer to 4. So I think we'll still be in that 2 to 4-inch zone here in Louisville. That just slight jog south wasn't to be completely unexpected because this is about what we were seeing yesterday, a little closer to that. Today was a little bit of a jog north. This was a correction south. This is probably pretty close to where it will settle to, just because we are well under 24 hours away from this thing starting to wrap up here. So somewhere around this range. So the heaviest rain is going to fall in central and southern Kentucky, where you see that narrow swath of 6-inch plus totals. We could have some flooding that is just no good at all. I mean, we're talking flash flooding, urban and small stream flooding. We're talking river flooding. Not so much on the Ohio initially. The Ohio will take some time to flood, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But those smaller rivers like the Green, the Rough River, the Rolling Fork down there, this is going to go right into the basins for those rivers, and they're going to rise fast. So within 24 hours of this, you'll have some pretty decent flooding down there. And then, of course, the flash flooding part of this, where you literally have not enough drainage in the soil to hold this water, and the water goes everywhere and starts to flood out roads and things like that. That's also a concern with this. Again, Louisville in that 2 to 4-inch zone. This is still not good for the city. But for now, the latest data is taking the worst of the worst just south of the city. Southern Indiana, you would solidly be in that 2 to 4-inch zone. Kind of a newer thing that today has seen and unfolded is the rainfall data from the models starting to spread more of this into Southern Indiana, just kind of expand the breadth of where the 2-inch plus totals would be. So now Southern Indiana kind of more into that zone now for 2-inch plus totals. This caught our attention today, and it should catch your attention too. It was a high risk of extreme rainfall, technically excessive rainfall from the Weather Prediction Center. We call it extreme on the air just to make it a little easier, because excessive can be kind of a complex word for some folks here. But high risk of that from E-Town to Hardinsburg to Litchfield to Munfordville. We have not seen one of these since 2018. It's been a while. This doesn't happen often, and especially around here. Even if you're in that moderate zone, that's still a very concerning thing. But if you're in that high zone, that's where the Weather Prediction Center, branch of the National Weather Service at least, is expecting the worst of the flooding impacts from this rain. Again, not good information here, but it's information we all need to know, right? Here's the severe weather piece of this. You'll see it's a marginal risk, a 1 out of 5 from Bardstown to E-Town, Litchfield, Munfordville, Campbellsville, Columbia, Lebanon, Willisburg, Springfield, Hodgenville, Cecilia, Vine Grove, Lebanon Junction. You get the idea. Gravel Switch, trying to add as many towns as I can here. This is due to a gusty wind and very, very small spin-up tornado threat. Again, if I had to make this map based on what I've seen this evening, I'd draw it south of here. That's basically where I think there could be enough ingredients for just a rogue severe storm. I don't think that's going to be the norm. It's going to be the flooding that we need to be paying most attention to. And that's why all 34 of our counties are under a flood watch all day on Saturday. Goes without saying that we're going to need that here based on what we're seeing. I'm going to answer a couple questions. Again, this is kind of abbreviated. I know I'm kind of going fast here, but I do have an 11 o'clock newscast I got to get ready for. So I have a hard out, as they say in the industry here, around 10:40. So 10:40, I got to be off the air with this. But let's see what else is going on here in our comment section here. Carrie says the models have been switching from south to slightly north for days. Yeah. It is enough to freak a few folks out. It's like, hey, am I going to be in that heaviest 6-inch axis of rain or not? I get it. I think where we're at right now with this being just south of Louisville is going to be pretty close to where this actually unfolds. When you're within about 24 hours of this, it's hard to have any huge changes in the actual, axis of heaviest rainfall here. Chris asking if the forecast verifies what percentage of flash flood warnings would end up being emergencies slash PDS versus flash flood warning. Okay, a lot of acronyms. A lot of folks may not understand. FFW is flash flood warning. PDS is particularly dangerous situation slash flash flood emergency. So basically there are flash flood emergencies, or flash flood warnings, I should say. Then there are flash flood emergencies, which are like, there is a bad situation going on right now. Cars are floating away, swift water rescues. That's a flash flood emergency. It would not shock me to see a couple of those possibly tomorrow. Again, mainly south of Louisville, but when you're in an environment like Jefferson County, like Louisville here, where you have a lot of concrete and asphalt, and not a lot of places for water to soak in, it does give me pause on urban flash flooding. I just want to at least throw that into the ether so at least folks are paying attention to that. If you get a flash flood warning, pay attention. If there happens to be rising water out your door, seek higher land immediately, all right? And that goes especially for our friends and neighbors in Kentucky who have the highest rainfall totals, but it is possible even in Louisville, we could have some problems with that. I think it'd be a very small number of those being those particularly dangerous situations slash flash flood emergencies. But I think we will get potentially several flash flood warnings tomorrow, maybe 1 or 2 severe thunderstorm warnings. Let's see. Carrie's asking, will someone be nowcasting this tomorrow? Yes. Carson Meredith is here all day tomorrow. He's going to guide you through this. He is going to do at least 2 of these broadcasts tomorrow, by the way, if not a third, if things are really going off the rails here. Cassie's asking, different outlets are predicting quite a variety of amounts for any given location. Any idea what's behind the discrepancies? Yes, literally the individual model runs of the data here are dictating a lot of these forecasts you're seeing here. And they can waver a little bit every 6 hours or so. So you're going to see a little bit of difference amongst who picks what model to show for what they're comfortable with in their forecast. I picked the HRRR. That's what I'm comfortable with tonight, looking at the other data here. And that's why there are these little discrepancies. What you need to remember, though, is the big picture, is the big threat, and that is flooding, and that is several inches plus of rainfall, and that the highest rainfall totals will be south of Louisville. If you can remember all those things, the exact totals really don't matter all that much because the impact of those totals is what we're concerned about, all right? Let's see. Ryan Smith asking, you're going to be live tomorrow night? Yes, Carson Meredith will be live tomorrow night, at least at some point. I know he will be. Let's see. Allie remembers 2018, a car was found in Bradfordsville, a mile down the river. Yes. Whew, not good. Joe's asking, will it get very windy? Worried trees may topple if the ground is saturated. That's a really good thing to think about. If you are south of E-Town, that could be a problem. If you are north of E-Town, I don't think that's going to be much of a problem because we won't be in the convective part of this closer to Louisville. That won't be the thunderstorm part with the gusty, nasty, damaging winds. That would be more southern Kentucky where we could have a few trees topple over. Do all the models agree that it'll be further south? I've looked at 2 runs of the 0Z suite here, or 2 models of the 0Z suite, the NAM and the HRRR. And yes, they both agreed on just a slight jog to the south that I just showed you there. So far, That's at least a good thing, just to try to get that away from the metro. I know for folks in E-Town, you're like, well, what about us? Like that's not good for us. No, it's not. I get it. And this is just not going to be good for anybody. But when you've got a metro area of 1.2 million people plus 6 inches of rain in 24 hours, that's not good. So any reduction in that rainfall total we see in the data is good news. All right. One more thing here, and then we will keep going on here. Monday will be a quiet day, hopefully. Yeah, the only thing on Monday we're tracking is potentially a little black ice in the morning, and I'll talk about that here in just a second. So let's talk about rivers, and I'll get to some of your questions here in a second. Again, this is abbreviated. I got to be out of here at 40 after, so I'm going to go kind of fast. All the rivers are fine right now, but they're not going to be. You'll notice that over the next 7 days, and this is, again, a worst case scenario map. It probably won't be this bad. Subtract one category from each of these. So in Louisville on the Ohio River, minor flood stage at both gauges are likely. Salt River and Shepherdsville, minor floods likely. Potentially moderate flooding on the Rolling Fork down in Boston, Kentucky, the Kentucky River, moderate flooding. This will be impactful flooding. I want to talk about the Rolling Fork because they're already forecast to go into that moderate flood category. And this is 2/16, which is Sunday at 7 p.m. What does that mean exactly? Well, with our fancy new flood graphics here, you'll see that a few homes and trailers outside of Boston will likely flood on Sunday. All right, water is going to cross low points on some county roads. Some homes in floodplain near Boston are going to be cut off. You're going to have homes cut off. You're going to have trailers and homes that will flood at 42.6 feet of that river gauge level. And on the Rolling Fork near Boston, and again, that is in southern Nelson County. Again, this is a little bit away from Louisville here. We're not talking about Louisville for you folks just joining us here, but this is Boston, Kentucky. This is near New Haven, Kevin Harned land, as I call it, because he's from that area. So southern part of Nelson County, you may have some flooding issues for homes and trailers. All right, so that's the Rolling Fork, and that's Sunday when that crests, but it will begin to rise tomorrow. So be very vigilant down there. So let's talk about Louisville. Ohio River, McAlpin Upper. This is the big main gauge that everybody looks at. This is available on our website and on Wave Weather now. So wave3.com/weather, you get this graphic. Also wave3.com/weather now, and you see the live stream that you're watching right now, which also has this graphic. Easy to check, easy to find on our website and our live stream here. Notice we go into minor flood stage just above it, starts at 23, and we'll be at 23.3 on Wednesday. So that's Wednesday. It takes longer for the Ohio to rise because it's such a big, wide river. All the water from all the tributary streams and creeks have to drain into it. So it takes a lot longer for that rise to happen. That's why we're waiting till Wednesday for that to occur. What does that mean, though, when you get the potential for minor flood stage at 23 feet? Well, some sections of River Road are going to be closed from 3rd Street to 8th Street, Eifler Beach, Juniper Beach cut off, Campbell Street, Frankfort Avenue, Mockingbird Valley Road, I can't say that, closed. And again, those are really close to the river. So like Frankfort Avenue and Clifton will be fine, but closer to the river, that's going to be a problem. And then this may be the biggest thing is right turns from River Road onto the I-60 from the I-64 ramp are prohibited. So if you're getting off of that I-64 ramp on 3rd Street, you can't access River Road from there, okay? That's what's likely going to happen by Wednesday. Plan accordingly for your morning commute. The river flooding potential is likely, especially where you've got the Rolling Fork and south of there. That's where we're going to pour the most water into. And then on the backside of this thing, once the rain is gone, we talk about snow chances, talking about the potential for some snow showers on Sunday, especially during the afternoon. We'll show you those real quick. You see by 6 a.m. on Sunday, behind this rain, a little burst of snow. Temperatures below freezing for a lot of us through most of the day. Snow showers continuing. We won't see a huge accumulation from these snow showers. However, it could create some slick spots on the roads, even with the dusting that we're looking for here, well less than an inch. And that means, as we were just talking about with Austin there, by Monday morning, we could have some slick roads as temperatures plunge into the teens. Not good, right? We definitely don't want to see anything like that. Black ice possible on untreated roads here. Let's see. Kevin Anderson, is this flooding enough for the flood walls to go up on the Ohio River? I'm assuming. We'll see. A little too early for that. Again, the Ohio is kind of a complicated beast. These smaller rivers with much much smaller widths on them will rise and fall very quickly. We can predict those, pretty easily, pretty short range. The Ohio, it takes a little bit more time and patience to see what it's going to do. What is the Salt River flood risk? Not as high. I did check the Salt River at Shepherdsville. The forecast, at least a couple hours ago, took it still below action stage. We'll see if that changes. Please pay close attention if you're on the Salt River, because it's going to be close potentially. Let's see. We'll take one more, and then I got to keep going here. Let's see here. Anybody else? Terry says the Rough River, likely at Rough River Lake, is already at 498 feet. Yeah, we're already saturated in much of Kentucky. So my sump pump has been going like crazy just because of all the snow melt we've had, all the rain that we've had, in the last couple of months. Groundwater is there. The soil is soaking. This is not great. All right. Here's what I'm going to do. We're going to talk about alert day number 2, and that is snow for Wednesday of next week. I'm going to take a quick 30-second break. Some of you may see ads. Some of you will see just a thing that says we'll be right back. Got to do this real quick for you guys. And then in 30 seconds, we will return to our coverage of next week's alert day. So hang on just a sec. All right, we are back here on Wave Weather now, talking about next week's Wave Weather Alert Day for Wednesday. All right, here's the deal with this. This is a snowmaker for us, all right? And this could be several inches of snow, perhaps. That exact number is not known just yet, but we'll have that likely for you early next week. The system is tough because you've got an area of low pressure that's coming in from the west, and it will be quite strong out here near Arkansas. So it's going to put down some impressive snowfall totals in parts of central Missouri, and that's pretty much a lock at this point. Problem is, as this low goes to the east, it weakens, so it's going to be a little L. So we don't see quite as much snow out of it by the time it's over the Tennessee Valley. But then the low transfers energy to a new low pressure forming over the coast of the Carolinas and goes berserk as potentially a nor'easter across parts of the northeastern United States. So you're going to have this situation where you get two maximums of snow, one out to the west and one out to the east near Virginia where this low explodes. So we kind of get slighted a bit on the snow, it looks like. I think that's a lock unless this low stays held together and strong across the Tennessee Valley. I don't think it will. You see that secondary low that spins up. Ooh, see how heavy that snow is in Virginia. And then we get a little backlash snow as that low really gets going and the nor'easter starts to take shape here. So again, you see the two areas of the highest snow totals, one in central Missouri, one in Virginia. We get gapped a bit, but that doesn't mean that we're not seeing snow at all. No, it just means we'll see not like a foot of snow like they might see out in central Missouri, but potentially several inches of snow. And on the back side of this whole thing, we would see lows in the single digits, and that may rival what we had in January. I'm not happy about it either. I've been looking at this data all week, and it's not fun. This is Kentucky. This is not Minnesota. In Minnesota, they do this every, few days in the winter, but we're getting ready to do this again. So what we had in January temperature-wise, we may repeat somewhat. It won't be exactly like that next week. Snow-wise, I think it'll be a little different, which is good. I don't think it'll be quite as much of the wallop that we got, but we don't know that 100% just yet. Again, no snowfall totals on the system at this time. I'm going to take a couple more questions, then I got to get out of here and get ready for the 11 o'clock news. On YouTube, a question, is there a chance for power outages? There may be some in southern Kentucky, but this is, I hate to call it just rain, but from a power outage perspective, it is just rain. I think our infrastructure can take it. Carrie asking, would the cold weather last as long this time? It might not last quite as long. In fact, that's a good segue into our 10-day earliest alert here, and you'll see how long those single-digit lows last. And you'll notice there, it's a couple of nights. It's Thursday morning and Friday morning of next week when we get down into the single digits. And if we do have a thick snowpack, somebody could go below zero, especially Friday morning there. Notice, though, that we do start to see highs back into the 40s by the end of next weekend. So it's not the worst news in the world. It is February. Our sun angle's higher, so it's harder to get snow to stick to the ground for as long, to stay on the ground, I should say, for as long. It starts to melt even when it's below freezing with that higher sun angle. During the day, it already starts to melt. So that's some good news, and it won't be as long-lived as last time. But the intensity of the cold may be somewhat close to what we had at times early month here. Early last month, I should say. Let's see. I think it's going to turn into a nor'easter. We're only going to get about 3 inches. That's my prediction. That's actually not a horrible prediction there, Dave. We'll see how that goes. The models are trying to dump out a couple more inches than that here. We'll see. At this distance out, can't comment more than that. Will the snow make power outages? Asking OGC Gamer on YouTube. Not necessarily, unless you get just like a super heavy amount of snow and it's super wet and sticky. It can weigh down trees, take them down onto power lines. I don't think we're in that territory just yet. This would be more of a light, fluffy snow on Wednesday, so it's going to fly around and not stick to tree branches and power lines like a wet, heavy snow at like 32 degrees would. This is a 25-degree snow, light and fluffy. You can, knock it out of the way, brush it off your car, use a snowblower or electric shovel, get rid of it on your sidewalk and your, of course, driveway too. Austin Ballard asking about warm up toward early March. At this point, it's possible. I haven't looked at a whole lot of that because I've been so worried about these 10 days that you see here that I don't have a whole lot of necessarily super long range information for you guys, because we got a lot on our plate over the next 10 days and the next 3 weeks and 4 weeks. I don't even want to begin to look at that. Just too much information overload for this particular forecaster. All right, guys, we're about 18 minutes away from the 11 o'clock news on Wave. I will be on there with the latest on the forecast, which you saw a preview of here. And we're going to get you through tomorrow. Carson Meredith will be here. Sunrise, 6 p.m., 11 p.m. tomorrow. And on this very Wave Weather Now live stream, in between those newscasts, at least twice. I think he said he wanted to try to get a third live stream, and we'll see what goes on. He's, Mr. Caffeine. We'll see what happens there. As always, turn around. Don't drown, period. All right? This rain's going to be at its heaviest point after dark. Can't see in front of you very well. You can't tell how deep it is in front of you. It's not worth it. Turn around. Don't drown. If you see barricades up for flooding, go the other way. Don't go around them. Don't be a nincompoop. That's no fun. All right, guys, that's it for now. I'm Wave Storm Tracking Team Meteorologist Ryan Hoke, and I will see you this evening for the 11 o'clock news on Wave, where we will be presenting the latest on, of course, this big heavy rain event for tomorrow and what you'll need to know to stay safe. Good night, everybody. We'll see you back here then.